Hi divine beings, it's Ken the Goddess and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to learn astrology and where to start. It can be a little bit overwhelming when you look at a birth chart, and if you haven't seen what a birth chart looks like, I'll just put one right here. And looking at it's like, what is going on? All I see is just like a whole bunch of lines and stuff and colors, and it's like, I don't understand. So here's the video for you on where to start, okay? Because about 3 or 4 years ago, I was in that place like, there's so much going on. How do I even start to explain what this is or even understand it? So this is for you. All right, I guess it's something that I wish I had, but I'm glad that I can do it for you all. So let's just get started. I know sometimes, or at least for me, if this doesn't resonate with you, that's okay, but I felt a little overwhelmed when I first looked at my birth chart because I didn't know where to start. And so now that I would say I'm well versed in astrology, I would say I'm pretty, intermediate. I'm at the phase where I'm like learning how to interpret it, even including aspects in it. So I would say that's pretty intermediate, pretty advanced. So yes, I learned a lot of my stuff through like social media, like just looking up stuff. And I know that sounds very simple, but I'm going to give you guys like some people, places that you can like learn more astrology, instead of like people that don't even know, like I don't even know what question to ask. I just don't even know how to interpret or look at a birth chart. So I would say I learned a lot from, recently I've been learning a lot from Marin Altman, and she's a really popular TikTok astrologer, but she's all over social media like Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. She has a website, she has webinars, and she suggests by looking at each planet first if you want to start, because the planets really make a big part of each zodiac sign and the houses and stuff like that. Planets are one of the most important things in astrology. So I would start by looking up what the sun means, because we know a little bit of astrology, but just our sun sign. And the sun sign is like the sign that everybody knows. You can figure out your sun sign just by knowing the month and day that you were born. Instead, where your birth chart, you need to know the place and time that you were born, so you can get a little bit of a bigger picture, I guess. And so just figuring out, what does the sun mean? How does the sun sign even impact us? I'm also not going to be telling you guys what this means. This is just, I'm giving you guys some resources to start, or just a little bit of information, but I'm not going to be talking about what each planet means, what each zodiac sign means. No. Maybe if you guys want to see that, then let me know in the comments, but this is not this video. But I would suggest by starting looking at what each planet means. So the sun, the moon, so I would start looking at kind of like one of the most important planets. But looking up, how does the sun sign impact us as astrology? It's really important to know how each planet impacts you, because they're very important. The planets rule the zodiac signs, and we're going to get into that. So figuring out what the sun, moon, Mercury, just all the planets mean, how they impact us, and what do they mean astrologically. Yes, so by starting at the planets, then you will kind of move on to the signs, because as I mentioned, the planets rule the signs. So by learning the planets, it's transitioning into the signs. So you're learning the planets, then you're learning about the zodiac signs. And once you learn about the zodiac signs, kind of like what planet it rules, you'll kind of be leaning towards already an easy transition towards the houses. And that's literally all of astrology. That's literally it. I'm going to show you the houses, in each house, a zodiac sign rules, okay? And then a planet rules the zodiac sign. So it's already kind of coming together. So It's crazy because that kind of sounds very like simple. At least it does to me. Because when I was first learning, I'm like, I don't even know. But planets, signs, houses. And while you're learning the zodiac signs, you're going to be learning something. You're going to be learning about each element. So there's 4 elements that we use in astrology. It's why am I forgetting them? It's earth, fire, air, and water. I mean, the 4 components or elements that are in astrology, but I think even in the world. So yeah, and then also you're kind of going to be learning with the signs, the elements. So Capricorn rules earth, as we are in Capricorn season at this moment. And then you're also going to be learning something maybe called modality. And modalities are cardinal, fixed, and mutable. It goes in that order: cardinal, fixed, and mutable. It also helps learning the zodiac sign. So learning if Aries is a cardinal sign, well, what depth does that add to Aries? You know, yeah. So planet signs, and then while you're learning the signs, you may learn about the elements and the modalities, such as cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And then you'll also learn that the houses fit in a house. So then it's kind of like learning what the houses mean, but you also kind of already have a glimpse a little bit by knowing what the zodiac sign means. And though even this learning the houses will add even more of a dimension, depth to the zodiac signs and to even the planets as well. So yeah, that's really it. Now it's like, okay, where do I learn this? I got you. For me, I feel like I learn best, and I guess I'm still figuring out what learning method works for me, because I do suggest, taking notes, and this is what I have here. I do suggest taking notes so you won't forget, but I don't really think it's necessary, but I do think it would help because it can kind of ground the things that you're learning. So oh, that's funny. It just flipped to that page. So I have, I don't know if you can see this. I have all these zodiac signs right here, and they're, oh my God, I don't know the name of it, but like the representation of each zodiac sign. If I figure out the word, I'm going to add it here. And we also have what the planets, the sign looks like, because that would help when reading a birth chart, but take it at your own pace. So don't overwhelm yourself, because it can be quite overwhelming. Yeah, the aspects, the planets, what they all look like, and just some other important things. So that could help. Taking notes on kind of like what you feel like is most important. But I say, writing down, I guess, all the zodiac signs so you can kind of memorize them, because they go in a certain order. Writing down the planets and maybe like keywords on what they mean. So yeah, like maybe you can write down, okay, the planet that rules the sign, and then the elements, the modality, and then what house it rules. So maybe that can help when taking notes. And then maybe you can even write down a little bit of keywords for each, what each planet means, which zodiac sign, like a quick description, and including the elements and the modality, and maybe a quick description, a small little description of what each houses mean. Personally, I also learn a lot, obviously, from my phone, because my phone is like, knowledge is at your fingertips. My phone is literally right close to me. So I have screenshots on my phone about certain information about astrology. So maybe that can help. Apps can help. But I'll talk more about that. I also feel like talking about astrology is definitely going to help with, remembering and learning. I also feel as though if you kind of, I feel like it would help really kind of putting yourself in the community. You don't have to like talk to anybody, but if you're on social media, I highly suggest, if you kind of include your daily intake of, media, I would say part of it would have to be astrology. At least it's how I learn, that's how I kind of like remember things, or, I'm seeing it often. So I'm like, okay, I'm learning something new, or let me think about that, or like, let me take note of that, in a way, like a mental note. So I follow a lot of people on my social medias, and of course, using Google your friends. Google is your friends. Using Google to your best of your ability by learning, okay, what does Jupiter Saturn mean, what, you know, Googling all of this. Also, when I was, you know, looking into astrology and figuring out the planets and stuff like that, a couple of websites came up where I kind of still use, like tarot.com. They have an ad, they have a page just for astrology, and it talks about the planets, it talks about the signs, it even gives you the current transits. It gives you, you know, what would it be like if you were born with the certain, let's say you were born with Jupiter in Capricorn. Tarot.com will give you that that option where you can like put the planets with different signs, and I feel like that's something that's like taking it a next step, because now that when you're learning about the planet signs and the houses, now it's kind of like, okay, well, how can I put the pieces together? Honestly, for me, astrology is like a puzzle, you know. You have like what the entire puzzle is supposed to look like, but the hard part is, you know, putting the pieces together. At least that's kind of like that's how I kind of see it. So tarot.com and Astro Cafe, that's where I started as well. I like Astro Cafe. After a while, I did take a break from it, but I'm using it a little bit more often now because they have a lot of information on there involving aspects, which is where I'm at right now and how I put those pieces together. But astrocafe.com, it's really nice. They give you like an actual table of what your entire birth chart looks like, and other places do that too, but it's not with words in a way. I'm gonna show you what I mean. It's like these little boxes, and they tell you these little symbols. This is kind of like what the table is trying to also tell you, but it's saying with words, because now all of these symbols is like, what does that mean? But Astro Cafe kind of makes it easier by showing your table. And I would say you know, by learning from Marin, I follow whole sign houses. That's, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay. I do want to say though, when you're calculating your birth chart, also everything that I'm saying, like people that I'm talking about, resources, is going to be in the description. I'm sorry. But Astro Cafe, or a lot of places that generate your birth chart, they use a default housing system. So we talk about the houses, there's a system for them, and the most popular one is Placidus. And I feel personally Placidus was a little difficult to understand. I mean, if you're like talking about degrees and like, you know, diving deeper into it, I felt like it was a little difficult. But whole sign houses, each sign has a home, you know, in a way, because if you look at your chart on Astro Cafe or your table in Astro Cafe, it'll say, you know, your first and second house is in the same sign. In whole sign houses, each zodiac sign has its own house and its own, like, yeah, it's in its own house. That's what I personally like. So Astro Cafe is a really nice one because they also break down what your chart means in a really quick, descriptive way. So a quick description on what each aspect, what having each planet and what sign means. And, you know, you can read it. It can give you a glimpse, you know, of kind of like how you can put these two energies together. I also really like apps. Yeah, a beginner, I really do suggest this one, is Time Passages. Time Passages is a really great beginner app because you don't have to add your birth chart, like the time you're born, you know, all that information. You don't have to add it on the app. There's an option that you can, but it also follows daily transits. It also, yeah, it shows you the aspects that are going on. So it'll tell you that the sun is in a certain sign, the moon is in a certain sign, you know. I'll show you a screenshot, and this will be in the description down below so you guys can download it, at least for iPhones. At least for iPhones. But Time Passages, and they even have a section where, I'm going to add a screenshot, where you can learn, and I think it's great. I use that a lot to learn the aspects, what the moon means, different phases of the moon, and just really like diving deeper time passages can do that for you, and you can even see what the current birth chart, the chart is, you know, at any moment. And they also break it down for you. I'm even going to add more screenshots, like the current transit is going to say this, and they're going to break it down even more on what it means, which I think is great. So I think that's a really great app to start off with, you know, because I feel like for me, I really have to get not well versed in it, but I have to put myself, like really feed myself with a lot of information, which I think everyone is like, you know, in order for you to retain something, I really kind of have to like not intake a lot of information, but I really have to focus on it. And if I really want to learn about it, it's going to have to be like around me a lot, you know. Social media is amazing for astrology. There's so many great astrologers out there. For Twitter, I'm going to add more accounts that I like on Twitter. If I don't mention all of them, I'm only really going to say 3. I mentioned Marin. Great. You can even follow her on TikTok if you're on TikTok. She's also on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok, maybe Facebook, I don't know, but she's on those main 3. Oh, and YouTube. She's on YouTube. She has a lot of information on YouTube here, so go ahead, check her out, Marin. And she's great. She also posts the descriptions of daily transit. So for me, I have to indulge in this information, so I can kind of like really learn more about it and kind of seeing how it's going to impact us as a collective, you know. That's where I'm at, and that's how I want to like learn it. What else? Jade she's also on YouTube. She's on Patreon. She has a lot of information on Patreon. I personally am not subscribed to it, but I would say it's a good investment because you are learning a lot. She puts a lot of information on Patreon, and a lot of people learn, and they even talk about how great it is to be, you know, to be on her Patreon because she posts a lot of information. I don't know if she's on Instagram, but I know she's on YouTube. But Patreon, YouTube, and Twitter, I know she's on those 3, and she's really great. She focuses on degrees, but she also has a lot of resources that beginners can learn. I also got a book from her. I'm gonna post the book right here because I don't remember what it's called, but maybe this will help you guys. It's free. You guys can download it, and it tells you about the planets, the signs. I don't think the houses, but it's kind of physical representation, or how each planet and sign is kind of like manifested. So yeah, and it's not like a lot of things you have to read. It's more so like, it's quite easy, you know, but I'll wait till you download it so you can see what I mean. I also like Stars, Sun and Moon. I think that's her name. If it's not, I'm gonna correct it. She's really great too. I learned quite a bit of stuff through her. Also Mystic Lipstick Danielle on Twitter. She's great. I learned a lot from her too. Oh, on YouTube, Astrology. She actually works with or she's had a couple of episodes with Nicola. He's actually a really, I would say, popular and well-known astrologer because he created, or he has his own theory of degrees that's a little more detailed, but that's okay. Yes, she works with Nicola. She has great videos too. She also does like seminars and stuff, but again, Rosology, she's pretty good as well. But I just feel like, you know, putting yourself out there and finding people that talk about this, because there's people that talk about this, and there's like other YouTubers that I've seen that I don't watch consistently, but I have clicked on their video to see, you know, what they're saying, and it has helped, you know. So, you know, just I guess take an initiative, or just like looking up astrology and just see what comes up. Podcast, I learned a lot through Astrology Bites. Really great if you don't want to overwhelm yourself with information. Bite-sized astrology information, and it's by the Tarot Lady. Great, very short, sweet, simple, and I've learned a lot through that astrology podcast. Is it the astrology podcast? But however, for me, it's too long. So it's up to you if you want to do that. Articles. So when I look up certain things about astrology, there are certain websites that come up and they kind of like have articles on it or their description on it. So I would say take note of websites you kind of come back to when you're doing astrology information. Like, let me see. Ooh, astro.com is a really nice one to calculate your birth chart. I would say, yeah, talking to people can help, you know, with remembering the information. Or it's like when you're trying to teach somebody else, and when you try to teach somebody else, you kind of are tested to see how much you know. So that's what's happening when you're trying to explain or talk to someone about astrology, because now you're kind of putting your knowledge to the test. Can you explain it to somebody? If you want to like practice, and maybe looking at your own birth chart is a little difficult, then looking at maybe your friend's birth chart. And I would say please be mindful of who you give or who you show your birth chart to. It's pretty sacred, you know. And I do want to say I've been learning astrology like more than the sun sign for about 3 to 4 years now, and I have had to take breaks, okay, because it's a lot of information. So looking at other people's birth charts and asking them questions, like I noticed that when I look at my girlfriend's chart, I ask her, for example, she has a Mercury in Cancer. I asked her, how do you feel with having a Mercury in Cancer? Maybe that wouldn't be the best question, but I did break it down. Like, so when you communicate, do you X, Y, and Z, that Cancer energy? Because Mercury's communication, you know, or stuff like that, asking questions like that. And you can kind of see, you know, if they resonate with it or not. Or they'll start to explain to you, well, when I communicate, I feel da-da-da-da-da. You know, you're probably going to start seeing how that placement is manifested into that person, okay? So that can help. I also feel like, you know, if you want to take it to the next level, I would say following the transits, all right? Maybe the easiest ones may be the moon cycles, because that one moves every 2 days and it moves very quickly. And plus, while learning the moon, you know, what sign the moon is in, then you'll learn how that impacts everyone. You also see, you know, what's kind of like being on a certain moon means. So being born on a full moon, being born on a new moon, you'll learn that throughout the way. But I would say, you know, following the transits may be really beneficial for a way to learn. So following the moon, since it's a very fast moving planet, or following the sun, because each month, well, 30 days, the sun shifts into a different zodiac sign. Following the sun signs, that'll be pretty a nice way to start learning and putting yourself, you know, putting yourself out there, taking not putting yourself out there, but I don't even know, just learning more about it. So let me know how this made you feel, if this was helpful. And if you guys want to see my perspective on astrology, you know, go ahead and comment down below, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe, click that post bell notification. And I'm grateful that you even watched this video. I hope you have a great day. Much love. Namaste.